On the next Roseanne show, it's rapper Coolio.
I'm like a super electronic, atomic nuclear dynamo of energy.
I hear that, and I think the hair has a lot to do with that.
And the man behind your favorite sitcoms, Norman Lear.
You know you did change popular culture.
I don't believe that for a second.
Man, you did it 5 times, 5 or 6 times. Come on.
8 times.
All on the next Roseanne show.
Boy, the way Glenn Miller played.
Songs that made the hit parade.
Gods like us, we had it made.
Those were the days. And you knew who you were then.
Girls were girls and men were men. Mister, we could use a man like Martin Luther again. Didn't need no welfare state.
Everybody pulled his weight.
Damn, our old LaSalle red grade.
Those were the days. Today on the Roseanne Show, Grammy Award-winning rapper Coolio, television legend Norman Lear, and opinionated BET host Tavis Smiley is here. That's awesome. We have so much show today, I'm going right to it. My first guest is one of the biggest rap artists on the planet. His records have sold over 17 million copies worldwide with hits including See You When I Get There and Gangster's Paradise. Please welcome Coolio. Thank you.
Is that... We should sell those for like Halloween, you know.
This is in honor of you.
Okay.
An homage, as they say. In my religion, in Judaism, like we don't cut babies' hairs till they're 3 because we say that hair is an antenna to God, to the higher world. So I was wondering if you like do you feel that?
I don't know, both of my sons had really long hair until they were like 2 or 3. My 2 oldest sons. My youngest son, we cut his hair early because it was ridiculous.
Well, do you feel like other than like this patent that you invented, this look that only you have, do you pick up stuff? Do you pick up stuff like in the universe?
Well, you know, I'm like a super electronic, atomic nuclear dynamo of energy that receives all the
That's what it's about.
Good feelings from the people, and I disperse them throughout my soul, and then I give it all back, and then I'm nothing.
I hear that, and I think the hair has a lot to do with that. You're receiving through your receptors.
I'm in touch. I'm in touch with the universe.
You are in touch with the universe.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just, actually, my hair, you know, it started growing like that because it was about this long, and it, you know, it couldn't fall over because it wasn't long enough. So when it started growing and getting longer, it grew up, and, you know, we tried to make it go down. Then after a couple of days, it'd be up. So I said, okay, just go up.
It is a fabulous fashion statement, and it says so much.
Thank you. I like your hair, too.
Do you like my hair?
Yeah,
Oh,
good.
my
I like
God.
it short.
You do?
Yeah.
See, I can't receive anything.
Makes your hair look smaller.
Makes my head look smaller?
Just, you know, you're a comedian. I like, you know, I always bag on all the comedians. I go to the comedy club. I'm a heckler in the crowd.
You are?
Yeah,
You're very funny yourself.
I'm okay, you know. I'm more, I think I'm more serious than funny, though.
No, you got a funny streak.
A little bit. You know, we bag. You know what bagging is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You used to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I like hecklers.
Oh, really?
I like to get in fights with people, like when, you know, when I was in the clubs and...
Yeah, I heard about
people.
that.
Because, you know, you heard about that?
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard you used to get them up.
Well,
That's like
because
you get-
I was like one of the only women, and so like everybody thought it was an easy shot.
Right.
So you had to be tougher, you know. Okay. You know you have to be tough. You have to fight.
You got to, especially, you know, when you come from adversity and, you know, you don't come from much.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's one thing about being poor. You know, people think they're poor. You're not, if you have opportunities
Right.
to do things, then you're not really poor. You know, you might maybe you go to bed hungry sometime, but the next day you can get up and go to school. And so if you have an opportunity to do something, then you're not really poor. And now,
That's cool.
you can not have money
Right.
and still don't be poor. But now
What does poor mean?
Poor is when you don't have money sometimes. And, you know, you're hungry sometimes, and things aren't always easy.
But really, you went all over the world now. You don't think that's poor anymore, do you?
No, that's poor. Yeah, it is poor. But then there's po.
Oh, okay.
When you're po, your
Yeah.
daddy ain't got nothing, your mama ain't got nothing, your grandmama didn't have nothing, your granddaddy didn't have nothing, and they granddaddy and grandmama didn't have nothing, and you probably ain't gonna have nothing either. Places like Egypt, Africa, you go there, they don't have anything. And if your father got a camel, a cow, and a sheep, and you live in a little hut, and you got maybe an acre of land, and that's all you've ever owned, that's all your family has ever owned. Okay, you're coming up, you're growing up, right? When you get of age, you gotta work. You gotta go work in the field. You can't go to school. First of all, it costs, you gotta pay money. It's no public education. So you gotta pay money to go to school.
Did that change your head around totally to see other countries?
Perspective of our life.
How do you feel about?
My life was good. When
you came up hard.
Yeah, I came up hard, but when a lot of the things and a lot of the situations that I got into were by my own choice. You know, with things that I did that were stupid. I know we all do that, right? You do stupid stuff, and you know, you get into situations that you find yourself not really wanting to be in.
Right.
But being
At
born,
a young age too.
Yeah. So, but being born with nothing, I mean, whose fault is that? That's not your fault. It's
Right.
not your fault. So if you don't have an opportunity, then you poor.
Right.
But if you just don't have money, then you're poor. You see what I'm saying? So that's poor and poor.
That's a great philosophy too.
Yeah. So
And going all over the world, I could see where that would change you for the places I went and the stuff I saw.
Well, I've seen-
Stuff we take for granted here, and we
Exactly.
think, oh my God, it's so terrible, but
Exactly.
we do have opportunity, you know, and also we have hope.
There you go. Well,
That's
you know,
what it is, isn't it?
I went to Romania,
Wow.
and I saw poor white people. I mean, wow, poorer than any of the kids in my neighborhood that I grew up with. That's real. So
It's
it's
all
not,
relative,
it's not, it's
isn't it?
all relative, and it's, you know, people associate being poor with color a lot, I think.
In America,
And,
we do,
yeah, in America
don't we?
we do. And it's
Let's
not.
take a commercial, talk about that more when we come back. Stick around, because when we do come back, we're going to interview for the first time ever on TV, Mrs. Coolio. How cool is that?
And though I got love for you, I know I can't trust you. Cause my crew is rolling Hummers and your crew is rolling Dusters. And just because of that, you act like you don't like a brother no more. I guess that's just the way it go. I ain't trying to preach. I believe I can reach, but your mind ain't prepared. I see you when you get there.
We're back, and Coolio, you must really love this woman.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you introduce us to her?
Well, this is my wife. She is an author. Actually, her first book is getting ready to be published. It's called 101 Things to Know Before You Date My Daughter, My Best Friend, or Me.
That's cool.
She was an air personality here in Los Angeles for about 4 years. She started off in the Bay Area in San Francisco. She won many awards for radio up there, and she came here and she was #1 in her time slot. You might know her from a radio station called Power 106.
Wow.
She is a mother, she is my manager, she is my friend, you know what I'm saying? She's my homegirl, you know what I'm saying? My wife, Josefa Salinas. Ivy.
Well, what a lovely couple you are.
Yeah, he needs to be my manager.
He was your manager?
That's really nice.
Oh, you mean because he gave you such a good
Yeah, it
intro?
was one of those intros, you know.
Were you surprised to hear him speak so well of you?
I was surprised he remembered everything.
Trying to get points.
He's trying to get points, brownie points for those days when you're like on the low end.
Well, you know.
Yeah,
I got home kind of late last night.
Uh-oh.
You didn't want to wake up, so
yeah, that's in the
I'm
book
hoping
too.
that don't happen
That's in the
tonight.
book?
That's in the book too.
You're doing great things in the community.
Oh yeah.
Let's
we're
talk about
working
that, your art bus, your
hard.
music
the mobile
bus.
music bus. What it is, it's a mobile studio. And what we found out is that rather than put a studio in a particular neighborhood, other kids can't necessarily come, especially in LA, from one neighborhood to another. So we said, okay, let's take the studio and put it on wheels. And then take the studio into the neighborhoods. We're working with Park and Recs. We'll go to a center, and they'll identify kids that are interested in music or radio, being a DJ, editing, engineering, things like that. And the studio will roll in there, and they'll get the opportunity to come in, make a demo, learn how to do things. And the first group of people that he got, he's put together a compilation album now with the first groups, the very best ones. And what we want to do is every 2 years put out an album of the very best kids that we find.
That is so great. Because we were talking before you came out, before you joined us, we were talking about, you know, hope and opportunity.
Right.
So how cool is that to put that on wheels and just go out?
Yeah,
That's
we got everything. Now we just need the bus.
You
Love
know,
somebody.
In the inner city, when you talk about recording to a kid, all they know is rapping, singing,
Right.
or something like that. They don't know that you can do voiceover work. They don't know that you can do
Right.
cartoon character voices. They don't know about that kind of work.
Engineering,
you know?
producing,
Right.
all
There's a
those
lot
things.
of jobs here. There's a lot of jobs that would open if people knew. Absolutely. I think
Exactly.
it's so
So
cool.
it's a lot of talent out there, other than just rapping and singing, and I'm looking for that as well. So.
I wish you both all of my best. I hope to see you up there or down here or whenever, because I think you're both really special people.
And we love you, too.
And we would like to do anything we can to help, and we will. We will. I promise that we
All
will.
right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being on my show. Thank you. Well, we'll be right back. If it was not for my next guest, I probably would not be sitting here today, and I mean that. He is a groundbreaking television producer who pushed the envelope of how funny and how enlightening a sitcom can be with shows like All in the Family, Maude, and the Jeffersons. Take a look at this clip.
Now I suppose you're gonna tell me that the black man has had the same opportunity in this country as you?
More. He's had more. I didn't have no million people out there marching and protesting to get me my job.
No, his uncle got it for him.
He paved the way for a whole new generation of sitcom stars, including myself. And for that, I thank him. Please welcome Norman Lear. It's so nice to have you here.
I like being here.
Now, they're showing All in the Family on Nick at Night. But check this out. Now, 30 years after the fact, they're actually running a disclaimer with it,
Yes.
saying this material could be offensive to children or cause cancer or something.
Or something. When it went on the air originally, they were afraid states would secede from the Union. They hired about 100 extra telephone operators that first night. They didn't get a call. You know?
I'm sure
the
they did.
American people are so wise of heart. The establishment never understands They
Well, then
always
how do they get their
underestimate.
jobs? First of all, they always
They
choose
come
the
from
wrong.
Mars.
They always choose the wrong one
Right.
and the wrong thing. But how come?
No, they chose Roseanne.
No, the people chose Roseanne.
Well, they put it on.
Yeah, they did put it on.
They get some things right
I think they
occasionally.
put it on account of how much success you had with things about working class people and, you know,
Yeah.
getting real.
Well, All in the Family went on because a fellow by the name of Bob Wood came into CBS, brand new as president, and just wanted to do something that had his own stamp. He had the same taste as the American people because he put something on that they eventually found and loved.
And it totally influenced me, you know, with the Roseanne show.
Well-
That and the Honeymooners.
Then we did something good.
You did do
We
something
did
good.
something
You
good.
did a whole bunch good. You had great female characters. That was like something new for television too, wasn't it?
Well, you know, I noticed as the father of 5 daughters now, that half of everybody is women. Have you noticed that?
Was that a shock for you to realize that?
Big shock.
How
Big
old
shock.
were you
But
before you
I
realized
think women
that?
are still underserved on the media.
Let's talk about obstacles in the way of getting that show on the air.
Oh, that's such ancient history. So much is going on.
You couldn't
in
get
the
it on
world
these
today.
days. Tell the truth. You could not put that
No,
show on now.
when I answer that question, I will answer that question as a large chorus because too many people who are far more active in television these days than I am tell me all the time it couldn't get on. Network people, cable people, writers, producers, directors don't think it can get on. So.
Why is it? Is it like just the voice of special interest groups can drive something off the
Yeah,
air?
the degree of political correctness. You know, we kind of lost our national sense of humor. Americans always had a, great ability to laugh at themselves. That's what All in the Family was about.
Right.
You know, you're going to laugh at an aspect of yourself, or Maude, or
Right.
Mary Hartman. Your show too. You either find a way to laugh at the problems in the culture.
Well, because the
But-
real stuff is the most funny.
Yeah. But today, you've got all those very serious faces sitting all over television, ex-judges and ex-prosecutors and ex-lawyers and sitting around talking with long faces about the seriousness of, and just no ability to laugh at it.
What about that
And
show?
while the rest of the world is laughing.
Are you talking about that show, Desmond Pfeiffer, The Secret
No,
Diary?
no, I'm talking about that show called Monica Gate. But let's assume Desmond Pfeiffer had something very worthwhile about it. It might have been knocked off simply because of the degree of political correctness. I'd rather let the American people make the choice.
Absolutely.
Let them turn it off of the dial.
we deserve to make our choice, right? It's like I think I get afraid because I feel like we live more and more in under totalitarian leaning government, where all our decisions are going to be made for us, and if we
That's
step
why
out
your
one.
vote is so important.
Well, I told you I'm not voting. I'm not going to vote. Give me one good reason why I should vote.
To enjoy the respect of the American people. It couldn't.
Now
it couldn't
tell
be
me
more.
who I have to vote for.
I wouldn't begin to tell you who you have to vote for.
Yes, you would.
No, I wouldn't. That's not my
All right.
business. Just to exercise that
vote?
God-given,
Well, what if I vote for somebody you don't like?
Constitution-driven, huh?
What if I vote for somebody you don't like?
I'll never talk to you again.
We have something very special for you after this, and okay, I'll vote.
Good.
The Roseanne Show's coming from the Apollo in New York next week. Joining Roseanne are Bill Cosby, Rosie O'Donnell, John Goodman, Coolio Iglesias, Gladys Knight, Martin Short, and Donald Trump. So start spreading the news, baby. Roseanne's hitting New York next week, and she's bringing all your favorite stars with her. The Apollo will never be the same. Don't miss it.
I don't understand your hesitancy. When they made it a law, you were for it.
Of course, I wasn't pregnant then.
Mother, it's ridiculous. My saying this to you, we're free. We finally have the right to decide what we can do with our own bodies.
All right, then will you please get yours into the kitchen?
You're just scared.
I am not scared.
You are, and it's as simple as going to the dentist.
Now I'm scared.
Dad, she's so funny. I loved Maude. You can probably see the influence of that all over everything I do. She was such a great, great woman. Great character. You probably couldn't even get that one on the air these days anymore either.
Oh, I don't know. Not unless you found a genius like Beatrice Arthur.
Yeah, well, that's problem one.
She made me laugh in places, crevices in my body I didn't even know I had.
She's got timing like nobody else has got timing.
And just a touch of madness. Touch of absolute madness.
Well, I remember when I first came to Hollywood and I got to perform at this big function where there was all these stars and I was doing my act and everything. I looked out and saw her sitting with Lucy and they were both laughing at me, and that was just so awesome. That was the moment, the crystal moment that I'll never forget in my life. You did great sitcoms about African-American families. You did, you know, Good Times, which was Maude's maid, right? Florida.
Esther Roll. Is that it? You going to see something? I heard the bell go.
And then you did another show about a fluent African-American family, which was the Jeffersons.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you say...
Well, who... Do I have to go get it? All right. Come in. Who is it? Hi. Thank you for coming on. Come sit down and talk with us. Were you surprised? Were you surprised? It's so good to see you.
Yeah, well, thank you, brother. It's a pleasure to be here.
That was a great show.
I even dressed it like you. See, I wore a sweater. I do it.
How awesome was it to work on that show? Because it was such a great show.
On the family. Oh, I'm telling you, like, it's like when I first came there, I didn't know anybody in Hollywood. Like, I was just in San Francisco, and I happened to call up and say that I was in town. They told me to call them when I got to California. I had no idea. And they said, Sherman Hemsley, give me your phone number. I said, you sure? I didn't know what was going on. And they said, well, we want you to be on our show. And I'm saying, well, okay. I had no idea what show it was. So they said, come down tomorrow. So I get down there on Thursday, and all of a sudden I'm all in the family, you know.
And you were so incredible against him, against Archie.
Yeah.
That it was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a great meeting
The
of.
thing is, there was a George Jefferson for many weeks before we actually had him appear, because we hadn't been able to cast.
Oh.
You know exactly what we wanted for George Jefferson.
That's right. We heard about
he
him
was an
long
offstage
before we saw
voice,
him,
and he was offstage character for, you know.
And the first night, I remember standing out in front of the door about to make my entrance, and I'm saying, oh, what did I get myself into, you know? I hear all these actors, all those people out there, you know, this scene is going on, and I know any minute I have to go out. Boy, was that scary. But it worked out fine.
It was a pretty magic moment in television, too, when we first got to see you. Because we wondered what you were going to say to this man that we heard for so long.
It was such a great cast.
And you were up in his face, too. Who in the hell is here now? Come on in. This is your life. Thank you. This is your life. This is your life. Bonnie Franklin. Come and sit down.
Sure, okay, over there?
Yeah, go over there.
Welcome to This Is My Life.
It is your life.
I sit there because then it'll be boy, go, boy, go.
Both of these shows that you guys were on were like just breathtaking reinventions of things that we never saw on television before. The Single Mom, you were like the first.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they had tried it before with a lot of women and it always failed.
They tried it once before and it didn't work, and so I met Norman, who looked almost exactly like this, except he had a mustache when I met him about 1 billion years ago. And there was an idea to do a story about a parent, single parent bringing up a kid, Alan Manning's idea. And I met with Norman, and he said, right. Wonderful. It was love at first sight. Don't do anything right.
She's too young.
Too young.
Too young.
And then came Mackenzie Phillips. I said, I can't play her mother. I'm not old enough to do it. We won't look right. Well, we looked exactly. We have big mouths, the both of us, so it worked just fine.
And Valerie Bertinelli.
And Valerie,
She's
well,
so
it was
cute.
You know that was Norman's 2 daughters that was based on.
Oh, really?
Norman always used his life in his work, you know.
Well, it was Alan Mannings and his wife had the notion for doing this way, but the 2 characters became my 2 kids because I was living with them every day.
And he could use it all.
That's the way we work. We all brought in our
To
families.
do my show, too. You got to use the real life stuff.
You have to understand, as Bonnie will attest, all of these shows, and your show, you know from your own experience, but the audience needs to know, these are giant collaborations. No one person does this, you know. Great directors, wonderful writers, teams of writers. And
hundreds of
Well,
people.
Norman did a terrific thing. He
What did he do?
instituted something that I've never seen done in any other area. It was something that we called table. And he had great respect for actors, and I will always appreciate it because you learned so much that way. In that, most shows, when you have your first script, you sit down, everybody sits around, the network and the producers and the writer, you know, and the actors. And then usually there comes these little huddles, and the writers will talk, and they'll say, well, we need to fix that, and the star. We didn't do that because of this man. What he did is that we read it again, and we all discussed what worked, what didn't seem to work, how it could be better, how we felt because we were beginning to own our characters as the years went on.
Am I a saint or what?
No.
You really are.
Not at all.
You are.
I'm just
I want to kiss your ring.
No, but it was so valuable because he was being able to get into the thing.
He made it more democratic, didn't he?
Yeah,
I had an opinion.
Yeah.
In what was behind the camera and
I
what
had
was in front of
too
the
many
camera.
smart people not to listen to. You know, there were
But I think,
Okay, I'm off that. I'm off that. I just want to say that was really a good thing.
But you know you did change popular culture. You know you influenced and changed it.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, you did.
I
Okay,
do.
then be quiet.
I do
He
believe
did,
if you get something right in the theater, it causes people to talk. And if people talk about what you've generated, that's great. And that's what you can get for it.
Yeah, but man,
That's
you
it.
did it 5 times, 5 or 6 times. Come on.
8 times.
8 times. We'll be right back. The first TV journalist to get an exclusive interview with President Clinton since the Starr Report was released. Take a look.
What you've not talked much about lately, and I want to give you a chance to respond if you so choose, is how the atonement process is coming along with regard to your being a husband and a father.
I haven't talked about it deliberately because I think that it ought to be a private matter between me and my family. All I can tell you is I'm working at it very hard. And I think it's terribly important. It's more important than anything else in the world to me.
He is the host of his own show on BET and an opinionated commentator on the national Tom Joyner radio show. Please welcome Tavis Smiley. You're skinny. I mean, you're like a lot skinnier than I thought.
So are you. You're skinny too.
Thank
Look
you.
at this. Yeah.
But you have a big old head on TV, so it makes me think your body's going to be bigger. So I was, a little surprised there.
It's funny you should say that. One of the things you like when you go out in public is when people say you're thinner in person than you are on television.
You love that.
You love hearing that.
Right.
What I've not yet figured out, Roseanne, maybe you can help me. What I've not figured out yet how to accept when people say that you are much more handsome in person. Is that like a compliment, or do I look that bad on television? How do you...
People say that to me, too. I think TV distorts. I think it distorts faces.
Yeah.
But like if you have a big old head, like you and me both have big heads.
Right.
That's what they say it takes to make you a star on TV.
Is that what it is?
Head. Yeah, that's what they say.
I'll take that as a compliment then.
No, you're
Yeah.
you're a very handsome man. And,
That's awfully kind of you. Thank
yes,
you. My mother would be glad to hear you say that.
Tell me how you got that Clinton interview. What did you have to do to get that?
I can't really. This is a family show. I can't really say that. No, it. I did. I did what everybody in Washington does. We pleaded and we begged and we pleaded. I was pleased to get it. I mean, I'm no fool. I mean, I'm not. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night.
Yes.
And I recognized that the president had a lot at stake on the election. He recognized, I think, by coming on BET, he would get a chance to talk to a large and loyal portion of his base,
Yes,
that being black viewers. So I understand what he was trying to do. I don't feel exploited by that. You know, at times in this business, the interest of the White House converged with your interest in the media. He wanted votes. I wanted ratings. It worked. I loved it. I'm glad he called me.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And did you do good in the ratings?
Did very well.
I
Did
bet
very
you
well.
did.
And what's funny about it, our show, the folk at BET might not be too happy to hear me say this, but not unlike, I should say, everybody else on television, on Monday nights, you're always up against football.
Right.
We had the president on a Monday night. And so I expected the ratings to get a slight boost because it was the president. But you're always fighting an uphill fight when you go up against Monday Night Football. And on Monday night, up against football, he gave me a good number, so I was pleased with it, yeah.
You didn't feel just like a little bit manipulated, that you knew well, I mean, you knew that he was like trying to reach a huge segment that supports him, is very forgiving and kind, you know, the African-American audience. And so it's like he handpicked to go where he knows that everybody's like going to be on his side.
Well, there are a couple things that people didn't consider. Number one, this was not the first time I had a chance to sit down one-on-one with the president.
Right, it's your third.
Yeah, exactly. That was the third or fourth time. And the mainstream media picked up on this because of what was riding on the election. Although, interestingly, when I asked the president how important this election was for him personally, he totally downplayed the relevance and the importance of this election for him personally, trying to defer on that question and suggest that it had much more at stake for the country, but not for him personally, which I found interesting because I'm like, you know, 92 was important when you got elected.
Right.
96 was important when you got re-elected, but this could like totally be the beginning of the end. The unraveling, if this leads to big Republican numbers and potentially impeachment. This could undo what 92 and 96 were all about. But he tried to downplay that. But to your question, a lot of folk did not realize that I'd done this 3 or 4 times with them already. There was at least some rapport there, if not a friendship.
You had a relationship.
Had a relationship. So that was number one. And the other thing, I've asked 1,001 reporters when they've asked me, did you feel exploited? Did you feel manipulated? I asked them, would Sam Donaldson feel manipulated? Would Tom Brokaw feel manipulated? No, you take the damn interview. You don't feel manipulated, you take it.
Absolutely you do, absolutely. But what I meant, let me say what I meant.
I'm not talking about you.
No, I mean, I totally understand. Of course you're going to, of course, it's a great opportunity. And, but, you know, what do you think that he owes the African-American community, the African-American voters? What does he owe? Because I think he does owe something.
Oh, indeed he does.
And what do you think that there will be anything asked of him for that?
It's a very good question, Roseanne, and probably the most astute question I've been asked in the last 3 days.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah, the most. I think he owes a great deal. African Americans are always sought after as voters by the Democrats. The Republicans say they want the black vote, but they don't really go after the black vote. They say they want it, but they don't put forth an agenda that suggests they really care about the African-American agenda. The Democrats always talk this crap about how they want the black vote, but they wait till the last weekend.
Yes, they do.
They give meager resources to go after the black vote at the last minute.
Absolutely.
Bill Clinton has done a lot of things that benefit African-American people, but there are a lot of folk, and I asked him about this in our conversation, there are a lot of black folk, since our community does not think or act monolithically, there are a lot of black folk who think that we're too loyal to Bill Clinton, that we're too loyal to the Democratic Party. So there are a lot of folk who are black, but ain't necessarily down with Bill Clinton, so to speak, just because he's a Democrat.
Right.
Yeah.
And I heard that you asked him about, this has nothing to do with black people, but it has to do with children, and it has to do with people at the lower socioeconomic level of things in our country, of which there are a lot of African-American people.
Yeah.
Did you ask him about the welfare bill?
I asked him, we talked about that.
I heard that.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like rooting for you because I thought, well, that was very brave.
Well, I think it segues into the comment I made a moment ago about how it is that many black people don't necessarily think Bill Clinton is the most liberal president. There are a lot of folk who are still mad at him for how he sandbagged, in their minds, Lonnie Guinier at the Justice Department. She never got that appointment. Never got a chance to even state her case. After he nominated her, he took the nomination off the table. A lot of black folks still mad about that. A lot of black folks still mad about him signing the crime bill, which has this 100-to-1 disparity. You get caught doing crack cocaine, you got to get caught with, you know, you get caught with crack cocaine, you get 1 sentence. You get caught with powder cocaine, you got to have 100 times more powder cocaine for the same sentence you get for crack cocaine.
Totally a class.
If that isn't racist,
Totally class.
it's class. It's class. It's race because crack is used in the inner city, and you get caught with this much, you go to jail for 50 years. Cocaine used in office towers. Jesse Jackson says crack is used in the streets, cocaine used in the suites. I love Jesse Jackson. So. You know, but that disparity exists, and the president signed that crime bill. And he also signed
that. Made me mad, too, because I think, did he become a Republican? I mean, let me just go
after their agenda,
He became a Republican, and that's why I got mad at the guy.
He signed that welfare bill, and a lot of folks were mad about that.
And I'm one of them. We're going to commercial, and then more straight talk from Tavis when we come back. Thank God you tell the truth.
Well, we try.
It's Joan Collins.
Well, Gemini, you've got 2 sides. I got more than 2, honey. Be careful. I've got at least 6.
On the next Roseanne Show.
We have several things in common, but one of the big ones is...
Not money. You got a lot more than I got. A lot more than I got.
Well, we have the big head thing going.
Yeah, I got the big head thing going, yeah.
But we both came from trailer courts, right? Talk about that, because we don't get to hear about black people in trailer courts.
It's always white trash in trailer park, you know. Black folk live in trailer parks, too.
That's right.
I grew up, believe it or not, in a trailer, a single, not even a big trailer, a single trailer with 9 brothers and sisters, a father, a mother, and my maternal grandmother, who we call Big Mama. So it was Big Mama, Mama and Daddy, and 10 kids in a trailer. My 2 sisters and Big Mama had 1 bedroom. My mom and dad had the 2nd bedroom, and me and my 7 baby brothers had the 3rd bedroom, and the bedroom was only big enough for 1 bed. Now, I hated that because I had to sleep in a bed with 7 baby brothers. I'm the oldest, so I got...
You got wet.
Every night.
Yeah.
every night. By 7 younger brothers. I remember after we moved in the trailer a few months rather, my parents saved their money, and they bought a bed. They bought a big king-size bed because that's all that would fit in this little room. 1 big bed took up the whole room. You could barely walk around the bed to get anywhere in the room.
I hear that. That reminds me of so many
1 big
things.
bed, and the weight of all 8 boys on that first night collapsed the legs of the bed. The first night we got in it. So we took the legs out, propped the bed up on some bricks. That's real country, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
bricks,
real country.
A bed, a mattress, and a box spring sitting on bricks. We tried to play around the bed in the cold of the winter. You know, it's very cold in Indiana in the wintertime. We'd stay inside and play in the room. We got tired of banging up our elbows and knees on the bricks, so we took the bricks out. That didn't work. Threw the bricks out in the snow, and we put our mattress and our box spring on the floor. And that's how I slept for all those years in a trailer, a box spring and a mattress. And to this day, I still sleep in my bedroom on a box spring and a mattress to this very day.
Because that's something that really is grounding to you, isn't it?
Every night I fall asleep in my bed, it reminds me of how fortunate I've been, how much God has blessed me, how far I've come, and just having that reality every night is a good thing. Yeah.
That's a good thing to remember, isn't it?
I love it.
Remembering keeps you
Keeps you grounded,
yeah,
absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely.
You've done some incredible things that I admire. One of them, well, you talk about this Christie's auction thing. I think it's so cool that you...
The Christie's auction house in New York, of course, was set one day very quickly to auction off some items from the slavery era. And they have a house policy. Christie's had a written house policy of not auctioning off items from the Holocaust, which I admire. There's something wrong, I think, with profiting on the misery, the pain, and suffering of people. Right. You know, you're standing up there talking about Holocaust items, selling it to the highest bidder. Something wrong with that.
Disgusting.
And they had a policy not to do that for Holocaust items.
No, they gave them to the museums.
Give them to the museums, exactly. But with black folk, they were going to auction off this slavery stuff, which I found unconscionable. My question is, where is the moral consistency? If you're not going to do it here, don't do it here. See, the older I get, Roseanne, the more it occurs to me, the more I realize that a lot of the mess we deal with has less to do with black and white and more to do with wrong and right.
That
it ain't about black and white.
Right. That's
it's about wrong and right.
That's right.
And I didn't like what they were doing. And so I asked them, I didn't like what they were doing. And so I went on the radio, on my radio commentary, and said, you know what? I don't really like this. And if you don't like it, you call Christie's and tell them you don't like it either. Now, talking to 7 million African Americans every morning through my radio commentary, got a lot of black folk riled up. We called Christie's, shut down their phone lines. In an hour and a half, they called and said, we give up, we will donate the items, we will change our policy, and they did.
That's great.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Power of one voice. to change
Indeed.
things.
Indeed.
Let me ask you for some advice there, because we want to have you come back, and we want to talk about a whole, like you said, it isn't black and white, it's wrong, right.
Exactly.
I totally agree with you there, which we don't even have time to go into Samuel Jackson not being nominated as best actor.
What does Samuel Jackson have to do with some respect from Hollywood?
How great of an actor do you have to be?
He's awesome, yeah.
He should have been lead actor.
Indeed, he should have.
Absolutely. But I want you to tell us as we leave, what's the one thing all Americans, no matter what our color or whatever, what's the one thing we can do? What a loaded question to make you answer. But is there one thing that we can do to like lessen the hatred?
I think there is. I think there is, Roseanne. And that's why I use that line all the time. It's not about black and white. It's about wrong and right. There are certain things that we know as Americans that are wrong.
Right.
You know, it's not. People try to make this much bigger than it is. We want to commission studies and research and dig real deep into this when it's really very, very simple. We don't want to accept it, but it's really simple.
It is.
And it goes back to what we all know. You know, all are taught as kids, to love thy neighbor as thyself, to treat people with respect and dignity, no matter what they are, who they are, what they look like. It's not really that deep.
No,
Just
it isn't, is it?
treat folk the way you want to be treated, and everything's cool.
I worked in this, in a multicultural bookstore in the 70s, and all the time people used to say, oh, I'm working on trying to get over my racism.
Right.
And we just go,
What
well,
is that?
Well, just get over it.
Exactly. Just, it's like,
you don't have to work. You don't have anything to learn. Just let it go.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And people try to, as I said, make it much deeper than what it is. I try to treat people every day. There's a poem that I love, and in the poem it suggests that the way to really be a better person is to treat every person you meet every day, without exception, as if they are the most important person on the planet. Whether it's Roseanne, whether it's Tavis, whether it's Jane, Sue, Dave, any person you meet, without exception, no matter what their state or stage in life, treat that person as if they are the most important person on the planet. If everybody did that to everybody else, it sounds hokey, but if everybody treated everybody that way, we wouldn't have a lot of this mess to deal with that we're trying to confront every day as Americans.
Yeah, and it would come back better, too.
Absolutely.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
Thank you for being on my show. I'll see you later.
I hope so.
I'll be there.
Absolutely. Please
Thank
come
you
by.
so much.
Thanks for
Tavis
having me.
Smiley. You're a great interview. My guest today. Thank you at home. Thank you for watching. I'm passing out candy.
It's an open house of extreme. Tomorrow at 4 here on Channel 8, Donald Trump's personal butler gives a tour of the Donald's private residence. Then, Luther Vandross takes us for an inside peek at the place he calls home. In the market for a new house, Magic Johnson and Barbara Mandrell show off some celebrity real estate. Extreme homes for sale on Oprah. Tomorrow at 4, followed by News 8 at 5, here on Channel 8.